And welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watsu-K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're a New York Jets fan, every Tuesday now, when the clock gets to be about 10:05 to 10:10, you better have social media up, ready to go, have the NFL Network on, the TV, whatever you got to do, turn on sports radio, because it seems like it's now a pattern. The Jets are going to make some news right about that time. It was last Tuesday when the news broke that Robert Saleh was getting fired, and it was the same time, essentially, when the Davante Adams trade was announced. Now, to me, I know that this trade was, at first it felt like, oh, great, here's another reactionary move to try to take a little bit of mojo off, to talk the fans off the ledge after an absolutely despicable defeat on Monday Night Football to the Buffalo Bills, a game you really needed if you were going to have any chance at winning this division. At this point, as far as the Jets go, I don't see any chance for a division title. But now you add Davante Adams to the mix. And I know he's got the great chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. That's all well and good. He's missed the last couple of weeks with the whole hamstring injury. You can believe that if you want to. I'm not quite sure that I'm exactly buying that that's the reason he was being held out of those games for the Raiders. And I think there's a lot of Jet fans talking about, well, this doesn't, and I was one of them, thinking this doesn't really help them. You know, what about the issues with blocking, with stopping the run and all that kind of stuff? He can't even kick. Hey, maybe Adams can kick. He might do better than Zerline. I don't know at this point. By the way, Brandon McManus is out there. Jets, call Brandon McManus. Just an idea. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to apply my philosophy that I have for the draft to what I'm going to do for this season right now. It's not always about taking the worst part of your team and making it better. Sometimes you have to take a good part of your team and make it great again. And I think the Jets have a very good core of wide receivers. Garrett Wilson, we know what he is. Mike Williams is very capable, even though he has not developed any kind of connection with Aaron Rodgers. He's made a few spectacular plays, but honestly, it's getting to the point where what I'm really realizing, Aaron Rodgers is a fantastic quarterback, but he works with certain types of players better than with others, if that makes sense. Allenlazard, very up or down. We know what he provides. This takes a group that was not the worst on the Jets. There are other position groups that are worse and makes them really good. So I could have a little bit of optimism for that. Maybe the idea is to simply outscore other teams, and that's all well and good. And I could get behind this if I had some confidence in this offensive line. I think Tyronsmith has been a waste of $6 million, $6 million plus, depending on his incentives. And who would have thunk it? You know, he made all the sense in the world to go after. No question about it. You know, so many of these moves that people want to kill the general manager for, people think I'm a Joe Douglas truther, and that's great. You know what? I am in his corner, and I have no problem admitting it. But I know he's going to be gone after the season if this team doesn't at least finish 500. I realize that, and I understand that. I was the same way with Rex. After the 6th year, I knew his time had come up. I knew it was time for him to go. I can admit that. But so many of these moves he made that had been lauded at the time have turned out to not work out. Laken Tomlinson, perfect example. For a lot of Jet fans and people who do the same thing that I do, they made Laken Tomlinson their number one priority in free agency. And it was a disaster. Tyronsmith, the same thing has happened. The only left tackle in the NFL to allow 5 or more sacks and take 5 or more penalties is this alleged Hall of Famer Tyronsmith. The way he's playing, he wouldn't qualify for a Pop Warner Hall of Fame. He has ticked me off as much as anybody. Michael Clemens, not even him, because we knew what Michael Clemens was. Looked like Tarzan, played like Jane. We know what he is. It's like it's Tyronsmith and it's Greg Zerline. Those are the two players who are aggravating me the most because the expectations were higher for them. But the main thing I'm going to say right now, as angry as I was last night and into this morning, and I let go of a few things on Twitter. I said a few things that I'm not going to shy away from. Got into a few arguments as well. What are you going to do? It happens. Just disagree about the opinion. Just try not to make it personal. Try to until they go there. But anyway, we're all trying to get better as people, right? But I think going forward, it is very hard for me to get reinvested in this team because the expectations were just so stinking high. Because I think this is the most talented Jets team I have seen since Brett Favre was here in 1998 or 2008. Excuse me. I would go that far. I think it is the most talent they've had. Not the best in certain positions, certainly not the best offensive line. But when you factor in some of the other positions, I think this is as good as the team the Jets have had since 2008. And they're not playing like it. And to me, that comes down to the coaching. Now, it's only Jeff Ulbricht's first week. The team did some things better. I thought Todd Downing called a good game. Got breecehall a little bit more involved in the offense. In the passing game, I like what I saw there. A little bit of misdirection. I feel okay about that. I really, really do. But Tyronsmith, I'll tell you what, you got to think about benching him for Olaf Fashanu because he is an absolute liability. What's going to happen next week when the Jets go to Pittsburgh? All they got to worry about is TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward. Alex Highsmith's been injured as of late, but you know what? Pittsburgh's got one hell of a pass rush. One hell of a pass rush. What are they going to do to Rodgers in that game? And I just don't think I can get my heart back into this. I mean, I'll still watch. I'll be happy when they win. I won't be happy when they lose. But how much more can we really expect? I got to see this team get back to 500 before I think about having any kind of hope again. And I just don't see any chance of winning the division at this point. Not unless Josh Allen suddenly gets injured. Because let's be honest, the Jets are only one game ahead of New England. We like to rag on New England, and deservedly so. The Jets' record is one game better than the stinky, lousy, smelly Patriots. And that is unacceptable for a team that was projected to win double-digit games by most people, including me. And the injuries are piling up. Chuck Clark, he goes on IR. He's out with a high ankle sprain for at least 4 games. What have I got to see? I got to see Ashton Davis play 60 snaps every freaking game again? Ashton Davis, the kind of analogy I would use, is kind of like chocolate mousse from what I hear. People who eat chocolate mousse, some people really like it. You can have a few tastes of it, but you can only have so many before you get sick of it, before the taste just isn't right. You can't have any more of it. That's Ashton Davis. He's fine in limited quantities. When he's starting, he's like Eric Smith. He is a complete liability. Do I need to remind everybody about Eric Smith in the Rex days when they tried to replace, I think, Jim Leonard with him? And what a disaster that was. Him and Kyle Wilson, responsible for Victor Cruz still going down the sideline on Christmas Eve. A loss to the New York Jets franchise. I will say it today in October of 2024. A loss that the Jets franchise has not recovered from yet because they haven't made the frickin' playoffs since that disgrace of a Christmas Eve day. I got to watch Ashton Davis. Now, put jalenmills in. Let me see the Green Goblin. They signed him for the practice squad. You know what? I want to see jalenmills start next to Tony Adams. I know he's versatile. I know he can play all over the secondary. Let's see that. And DJ Reed, well, he's out with a groin injury. We don't know what the timetable is. As great as he's played, I got to tell you, with Brandon Eccles, I don't feel horrible about it. I really don't. The next couple, who are some of the Jets' next couple opponents? Arizona's coming up. Obviously, Pittsburgh is next. But, yeah, I don't feel horrible about the quarterback situation. With Sauce, Eccles, maybe Quantas Stiggers could get back on the field. Isaiah Oliver, he's been okay. It'd be a nice help if Michael Carter could come back, but I'm not exactly counting on that happening anytime soon. But the defensive injuries are taking a toll. The Jets barely dealt with a defensive injury last season. Very few, very, very few. And look at all they've lost, not to mention the losses in the offseason. We don't need to rehash that. But they lost JJ. There was no other defensive end who had the skill set that he has. DJ now. Clark now. Lucky Fotu didn't play the first month. He finally got into a game yesterday. It was nice to see him. I'll tell you what, I'd rather see him and Leonard Taylor over Javon Kinlaw. You got Javon Kinlaw jacking jaws with the officials and taking penalties? Where the frick is the discipline and the accountability with this team? Where? Jeff Ulbrich, you want to show some accountability? Then bench Kinlaw's ass next week. Bench him. Sit Tyronsmith. I would like to sit Michael Clemens. The problem is, who do you give the playing time to? Because no one else has shown that they're capable of being, successful in that starting role. Tack McKinley, Braden McGregor, Eric Watts. Okay, great. Yeah, maybe if it's August and we're still in the preseason. Well, this is October. This is the main event. We are in the heart of the NFL season, and it is this close to slipping completely away from us. It is not even Halloween. And it feels like a similar season that we've had for so many years. The difference is expectations were higher, and that's what makes it worse than when the Zach Wilsons and the Josh McCowns were playing quarterback. So go into Pittsburgh, let them play Renegade the entire night. I don't care. And go into a stadium where the Jets have barely won in their entire history. Let's see you do it. Come out. Don't just play violent. Play smart. Because too often the Jets don't do that, and the best teams don't beat themselves. Well, this started out as a Davante Adams video, and it turned into a bit of a rant on the entire state of the franchise. So we'll see what winds up happening. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Join me Wednesday night, 6 p.m. for the live show. Hey, we are less than 40 subscribers away from 1,000. That'd be a huge milestone. Guys, please hit that thumbs up and share the channel with somebody if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody's support. By the way, I do have some new equipment coming in, new microphone. Hopefully that'll help the audio quality a little bit. So want to make this channel a little bit better, and I figured that was one thing that I could do. I'm hoping to have it by Wednesday night. We'll see. Enough of that. I'm out of here. Everybody have a great day. See you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.